what do you think about in biopics? I was watching Walk the Line, which is the Johnny Cash biopic with Joaquin Phoenix.
Yeah.
Uh, made I think it was released like a few years after Johnny Cash actually died. But Joaquin Phoenix met Johnny Cash before he took the role on. Or I think they were in talks about it, and Johnny Cash was aware that the film's being made in his later years, and so Joaquin Phoenix could really sort of like suss out Johnny Cash and make sure that he's given the role justice. But what do you think about characters that existed in real life, but in the film are written as maybe a little bit of an enemy or a setback for the main character, and in turn it might sort of especially if the character's dead, it may tarnish their legacy or their reputation as a person. So an example I've got for this, in the same film, Walk the Line, Johnny Cash's first wife is seen as a little bit of a setback for his career. She's not entirely happy with him pursuing music, and she doesn't believe in him. And, you know, it's shown that she thinks that he's wasting his time. And in turn, she's not shown as the most supportive of people. And as the audience, it makes you kind of want to just, you know, because you want to see the main character thrive. But apparently in real life, she wasn't like that at all. And his family have actually said that they were pretty disappointed with the way that she was portrayed. So yeah, what do you think about that sort of thing?
That's a very difficult one for me, because it's about, do you sacrifice somebody's reputation to have, like, because if we're looking at narrative structure again, you know, there's always got to be that force of antagonism in there. And if they need a force of antagonism that's not already there in the story itself, and they need to make somebody the antagonist, I guess, which is a very hard thing to do. But like, I don't know. I hate it when, like, have you guys seen Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, the Tarantino film?
I've seen bits.
Yeah, well, they portrayed Bruce Lee like, I did not like the way they portrayed Bruce Lee in that film.
No,
like, they were so disrespectful to Bruce Lee in that film. But Tarantino has argued that Tarantino said, oh, well, Bruce Lee was that way, even though I don't think he was only a kid when Bruce Lee was around. And, well, they basically make him, well, in the film, they basically make him out to be kind of fake, I guess. Kind of fake and very ego-driven. And I think those kind of portrayals where it's just like there wasn't any need for Bruce Lee to be like that, but Tarantino made him like that because that's what he does, I guess. But yeah, I think that if it's not for a force of antagonism, then you shouldn't do that, especially with somebody like Bruce Lee who's dead. Because his daughter tried to sue Quentin Tarantino, I think she did, for the way he was portrayed in the film. That film is horrible, by the way. I don't recommend it. Like, it's basically a Tarantino ego fest, basically.
It's got a sort of weird narrative.
Yeah.
Sort of
yeah. I can understand why people like it, because it's like a very anti-narrative kind of film. There isn't really, like, there's
very
not a whole
Tarantino.
lot. Yeah, well, there's not a whole lot in there, you know. And this is coming from a guy who's a fan of Tarantino's earlier work, not so much The Hateful Eight and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, but I like Django Unchained, Pulp Fiction, Reservoir Dogs. But that film just, I don't know, there just wasn't much there for me. And then they just completely changed, well, because of history, but I suppose they did that with Inglourious Bastards. So
do the filmmakers have that responsibility to be truthful? Like, someone in real life can be antagonistic and still portray them as antagonistic, but you're saying in the case where someone
it wasn't needed, basically.
No, and especially if someone's died.
Yeah. It wasn't needed. Whether or not Bruce Lee was an egotistical arsehole, I don't know, because I didn't know the guy.
I mean,
A
he
lot
could well have been, but at the same time, you know, it sort of makes you think, at what point is it wrong that, you know, somebody is going to be seen in the public view as a bit of a menace
yeah,
when really they might have been lovely, you know.
yeah.
I mean, I'm desperately trying to rack my brain and think if there's any lawsuits that I know about, you know, between film companies and people who have, you know, been involved, but I honestly have no idea. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm sure there's been a few.
Yeah, definitely. Wasn't like, I think South Park got in a bit of trouble for some of their stuff, didn't they? Which they did with some
I
celebrities.
mean, probably, yeah, it wouldn't surprise me.
Speaking about people like not liking what's been told about them, going back to The Crown, a lot of members of the royal family are very, this didn't happen, this, because especially more recent seasons, they've not been too favourable to people. Like, you used to think, oh yeah, the Queen seems to be really nice, but by season 3, it's like, really? Like, you're really gonna treat people like that?
I
And
think
Prince Charles, I thought I sympathised with him, and then I thought, Matt, you are a utter prick now. And that's how it was portrayed in
I,
the.
th- I think the thing is with the Crown is that well, thing is with the royal family, in fact, is they are sort of, I mean, you know sort of who they are, but at the same time you haven't got a clue who they are, because the thing is the way that they portray themselves in public is very different to how they portray themselves behind closed doors, but you are probably never going to see them behind closed doors because they're intensely private. So that's what makes me think that, you know, you cannot think or you cannot believe that anything really in the Crown is true to life. I mean, you know, I think that it's based on, maybe loosely based on real events, but at the same time, you know, and I don't doubt that some of the things that are shown in the Crown happened, but I don't think that they are to be taken sort of literally. I think it's just for entertainment.
Yeah.
But there were a few things like one of the affairs that Diane had was with a certain
Diane,
pale skin
yeah,
redhead,
Yeah.
which again was a big
James Hewitt.
That's the name. Yeah, so I couldn't think of the name, but yeah. And that was big controversy back in the 80s, and showing that again, it's something that was either it happened or allegedly happened, but it's just showing the series
I
itself is
mean,
showing what's there. Like, if
mm,
film or series portrays someone in a negative light, obviously that person either way isn't going to like it. Their family isn't going to like it. But
Yeah.
if it's true, if it's more accurate that they're not being portrayed in a negative light because they weren't a very nice person, at least not a very nice person to the protagonist, do they have a right to complain?
I mean, I think so, because I mean, assuming that you weren't involved in the production of the film, they're using your image, or, you know, your family's image, maybe deceased relatives' image. And if they're using that negatively, then I mean, it's difficult, really, isn't it? Because I'm not sure. I mean, I'm not a legal expert, so I wouldn't be able to tell you where you'd have grounds to you know, like sue or anything like that. But I think, you know, I think you should have the right to at least complain, you know, defend your corner, because I don't know, if there's a film that's portraying you as something that you're not, like, I don't know, for example, you know, there might be a film that portrays someone as a villain, maybe, You should have the right to come out and say that that's not how things happen. That's not how it played out, and you're a different person.
Well,
Yeah.
another example, the Sully with the Hudson thing. Like the whole hearing thing with that there was a hearing obviously afterwards, but apparently in real life that went smooth, and it was like, yeah, just lay out the facts, and it's like, okay, yeah, thank you, and it was like, no, Sully did the right thing, saved everyone on board, blah blah blah. But in the film, it was like this tense moment where is he gonna lose his job or whatever? Which again, that never happened, and the man came out and said the film was all right. It's just this bit didn't happen. Sort of bugs me, but I mean, it could be worse.
Yeah.
Then I suppose if it didn't happen in the film, you're going to watch it and think, well, that was easy, you know.
True. Yeah.